Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you live around the world. Progress, or at least the acceptance of the method that I've started to understand a wee bit better, is going to be sufficient for my needs. Here we have the base upon which we will generate our domes, and this in this case, one with the shorter leg. We will step back, however, right back to the beginning to show you just how quick that this method of dome creation for our purposes can be. I'll just move that back. We start out, of course, with, in our case, right at the very fundamental point, with a 1 meter distance around which we can create this model. Right back in the beginning, I create an arc that has 4 faces on it, and I want to generate it there and down to there to create a face. I'm going to rotate it here and down to here. I'm additionally going to place a line through the intersection of this particular section. It's 1 meter long. Another line through this intersection, which is 1 meter long, which is our radius of our circle. I will rotate that around into the 45. Do it easier from here. I can get rid of those 2 lines for now. I'll make these ones a group just so they don't interfere with me later on. I can also create the plane through which we want to have the sides inferencing to that height, across to there. Make group and rotate that round 90 degrees. Combine it with the other one, make group. I can draw my very top triangle, make that a group. Take a grid line that's parallel to this line and stick it on that very point on the ray, the porcupine. You can see that I've already created some. You'd probably be disappointed if I hadn't. Make the group. And now I've got everything to create my surface. From this point, we go up here. And finish off there. So what we've done in quick order, using a very basic set of components or drawing aids, is I've created what is, for me at least, sufficiently accurate enough and viable enough to allow me to make these other domes, the creations that we can decide whether we want or not. Now, we don't have to keep this, but what this has done is allowed me to create the base, even though I haven't shown it yet, but that's the base from there back to there, and there back to there, and there, and there, and that would be a quarter at least of our base. And when we take the dome structure itself and this base part or quarter and we rotate it round, we create our full area. Don't have to create the base because we actually achieve that once we've done the dome and rotated those, and we just go with the rectangle tool from point to point, creating that. Now these are the dimensions, that's irrelevant. These are the dimensions that we get for the leg height. Of course this was for a 1 meter dome, which we don't necessarily do it that way, it's just doing it for this exercise. And this dome, this height here for the long leg version. Now I can get rid of this, I can delete this out. I'll just use that to show how quick and easy it is to create the structure that we want. So I get rid of that. No, I don't want to. Now this is a full-sized version where we've got a base of 6 meters, which is the kind of the starting point for what I want, between 6 and 8 meters. We see here on the long leg version we've got the height of the leg, as I'm referring to it as, of 2357. On the short leg version it's 1545. Now we could, with this version, lift the dome up, as I've alluded to before, on our securing points. Now these could be anchor piles, which there would certainly have to be of some similar design. Anchor pile literally means one that anchors down the structure, normally for seismic and wind loads, but in this case we'll be mainly concentrating on only the wind uplift or displacement. Bracing, and that will be a separate issue for each individual person to consider relative to their area and location, geography, etc. I'll give no advice in that department because it's an open-ended issue. What we've gained here, we can, as I say, I'll just explode this. We can take the dome itself and lift it up to whatever height we want. In this case, no more than say 300 or 400 millimeters, giving us our height. If I do this exercise, oops, I'll get rid of that as well. The height to the back down to the base is about 1845, pretty close to what I wanted. Around about 1800 would be an ideal, 1800 to 200. I did make mention 1600 to 2 meters. That was just to give you the range, but that's what the dome is, but we can lift it up to suit our end needs. The reason I say 1800 to 2 meters, it means that you can approach these areas here and almost stand right at the maximum area of the base to make it more functional. Anything lower than say 1800 means you're effectively reducing the work area within the dome to one degree or another. So we're at this stage now. You could see how quick it was to generate the dome. I'll just reverse out a little bit, and all I did to change it from the long leg to the short leg was to lift the base. I'll explode out of that. So this was normally, if I just move that down vertically, that would have been in that position where we, as you saw in the beginning of the video, we created the pie sections, the quadrants. And it's always going to be this point where the two lines intersect that our corner will be for our structure. Again, a damn sight better than using the square to achieve that, because there was a little bit of fudging. Well, not really fudging, but you just had to make sure you're in the right place. The aim is to use as few, I was going to say as many, but to use as few a number of steps and components as possible to create our end goal of this. And I think, right or wrong, we're very close to achieving that goal. Anything additional will certainly be a bonus. If I find that, I certainly will include it. But at this stage, I'm happy to progress forward without spending too much more mental energy trying to think how the heck to create the structure. So I'm not going to end the video series because my exploration of at the next stage is to whether we use the separate triangles which we then join together to create this, which is certainly, you could almost say, a preference, or a hub arrangement where we only use individual struts to create the dome. The complexity of those hubs for a dome like this, or structure like this, may be a wee bit outside of what I want to tackle just at the moment. It may be something that could be done after the other method where we have the individual triangles being joined to create the structure. We'll see. The elegance of having separate struts to create the whole dome has a certain appeal to me, but the nightmare that it might create, less appealing. Okay, that'll be it for this video. If there's something which in my consideration is worthy to include, I'll fire up the software and create another video. Until then, we'll see you later. Bye.